This is Excalibur Heavy Battlecruiser, and today we're going to teach you how to defeat Crucible. Alright, let's first go into debug mode. Now that we're in debug mode, let's set it up to wave 80 and just get a whole bunch of levels. Alright, right now we're going to try a relatively anemic build. And by relative, I mean it's still okay. And can definitely get the job done. Of course, talking about Barrage Split Shot. Damn, I got lucky with Revelation and Bravado. I'll also not be taking antimatter rounds just to keep the challenge more interesting. Because if you do have AMR, it becomes quite a bit easier. Now, one thing I do recommend with Crucible is getting better mobility. So I'll be taking this and stabilization. I'll further be enhancing my mobility with stuff like agility, and then strafe. You can even take streamline, although newer players may be scared by the less reduced hull amount, so I'm not going to do that. Alright, let's get started. Now the first order of business is move carefully. You don't want to move around too fast, otherwise you'll take a whole bunch of damage like that. Then you have to watch out for these hoop attacks. The hoop attacks are the most dangerous part about Crucible, because they linger around and they deal a lot of damage. Then there are the sigils, these orange and yellow bits. They're not just there for decoration, they damage you pretty substantially as well if you stay on them for too long. Alright, it's done its hoop attack phase, and notice that I kept my distance. This is generally recommended so that it reduces the chances of the hoops hitting you. And if it is about to hit you, you should probably dodge it carefully, using a controlled burst of movement. Now with the sigils, it's okay if you just brush past them briefly, but try to minimize the amount of time you spend on there as much as possible. Like, just brush past them very fast if you absolutely have to, but do not linger on them. That is the thing that gets new players killed. You don't want to linger on them. Another tactic is to destroy the external Crucible turrets. It can definitely aid in making the boss less dangerous, reducing it to being able to only throw around hoops. Done right, Crucible can be surprisingly easy to beat, which may be responsible for creating this dichotomy of player responses to Crucible. It's either a fucking tough boss that is the stuff of nightmares, or it's a piece of cake, with not much in between. Alright, this time we're going to try it again, but with a more challenging build. A build that struggles against lingering attacks. That, of course, being Leviathan. Now, if you're wondering why 33 levels exactly, 3 of them are going to be used for my gear, and the remaining ones, like at least from what I have calculated from my own playthroughs, I seem to be capable of reaching level 30 reliably around these times. Although your mileage will vary, of course. Now, I do assume that at this point you've probably taken stuff like Efficiency, Juggernaut, Ataraxia, Regeneration, Adaptive Armor, Stabilization, and even Rapid Reconstruction. I probably assume you have Rapid Reconstruction by then. And you can also see some players getting Blink by then. You can also perhaps see Hidden Power by then, although it is a bit less likely for that to happen. Don't worry, I will not be taking Void Slice because that may take some more upgrade points. If you miss Bravado, don't do that again. There's Hidden Power. And there's Core Shielding. Alright. Let's go. And by go, I didn't mean you, Warbringer. Alright, there we go. Thankfully with Leviathan, if you have it decently built enough, you can probably withstand these attacks. The main thing is, you should, more so than the other builds, try to limit your exposure to these lingering attacks. If you have a coiled situation like this going on, avoid that from happening. Now admittedly, this build, I have focused quite a lot on stuff like Adaptive Armor. I have the entire tree in fact. And that is something I could recommend you to do so as well. So yeah, control movement really is the way to go with Crucible. Now I'm going to be trying this again, but with a really suboptimal build. It's once again going to be Leviathan, of course, but this time I won't take any of the Adaptive Armor tree. I also notably have less levels, like around this much. Like here I'm really messing around and went for a suboptimal build. Alright, we're really going to try a suboptimal build here. Now this one should actually be a challenge, even for me. Alright, so I can see why you'd be scared of Crucible now. This is also why I keep on suggesting the adaptive armor tree so much. Because it really does help out against attacks like these. And yeah, try to minimize the amount of time you spend around the sigils and the hoops. Admittedly, that movement was something that would take quite a lot of time to be developed, but that's the beauty of Nova Drift. Not just a fun roguelike where you can build a lot of stuff. It actually does challenge your mobility skills. Like, you do actually have to put in a good amount of thought into your movement as well. Which is why I found Nova Drift to be quite a lot more appealing than many other roguelike games. Roguelikes. Alright, I'm starting to understand why people struggle now. Alright, that's all of them down. Alright, let's keep our distance and hide back here. That was close. That was close. Alright, let's go on the offensive now. It also helps to recognize when the sigils activate, and so time your movements correctly. If you can pull that off, you can actually go surprisingly far with Crucible. Right, let's get out of here. Alright, that was a bit of a tough encounter. That homing strike is actually pretty nasty, I won't lie. Alright, that external large sigil was actually pretty devastating to me, not gonna lie. Alright, let's go for a little strike there before I retreat. Do it again. It does follow a certain attack pattern of rotating a certain direction and then reversing the direction it rotates in. And there you have it, my guide on beating Crucible. As you can see, mobility really is the key of the game here. Careful controlled movement can really go a long way in beating it. As well as being able to see yourself and timing things as well. It's also recommended for you to destroy the 3 mini turrets of Crucible fast, so that it can reduce Crucible's damage output and reduces attack variety. Now, the hoops are indeed dangerous for Leviathan mains, but it's not something you cannot overcome. I managed to somehow do this while I had a pretty suboptimal build. Alright, so next up, we actually have a tie between Seraph and Star Eater. And we'll have to start another poll again to determine which boss I should do next. With that being said, my name is Excalibur Heavy Battlecruiser, and as always, may the forks be with you all.